Hi, I'm Jason Brand, a Senior Research Agronomist with Frontier Farming Systems. I spend a lot of time coordinating a lot of the pulse research through the Mallee and Wimmera of Victoria and even across into South Australia these days. Most of the work was in paddock treatments. We were looking at either seeding rate, fungicide, so looking at whether you just use a straight grower-based fungicide or whether we look at alternate strategies, and then also some trace nutrition treatments. So these are all issues that growers raised at the start of last season that they were really keen to have a look at. Now, obviously, 2024 was a pretty tough one. Really dry start. We had emergence issues, continued dry throughout the season, and despite the fact we had a heap of stored moisture from summer rainfall, we certainly found that yields were generally low, except for maybe down at one of our sites at Douglas, where the crop was able to punch through and we're able to get up in that 2.5 tonne range. The big takeaways from last year is that obviously disease was a non-existent and the nutrition responses were pretty non-existent in a dry season like last year. The most interesting thing is though, as soon as we started dropping our seeding rates, so we started dropping down to 80 kilos per hectare, which is probably in that 10 to 15 plants per square metre, we started to see a real drop off in yields. And at a couple of the sites, it was probably in that range of about 20 to 30%. So it'll be interesting to follow that up coming this year, because it was consistent across the sites that we were looking at. So we look forward to what the growers come up for us to look in their larger strip trials this year. So while the yields were pretty low last year, what we did see, they weren't actually that far behind what we'd estimate the yield potential to be for beans. So often the yields were, so say for instance we were estimating the yields to be 2 tonne per hectare as a yield potential. The yield at that site was still getting to that 1.5 to 1.6 tonnes per hectare in the best treatment. So we're still getting within that 20% of the absolute yield potential, which is pretty good from a farming perspective. So, the water use efficiency was right up there. So at the end of the day, while yields were low, we were achieving probably what you could expect from a season last year. One of the other side things we did pick up though was, and really highlighted this, was that even seeding depths, like if you're able to get your seed in and get the crop up relatively early and then chase moisture down throughout the season, that was another way of maximising that yield potential.